day, everybody. Today is Tuesday, and we continue our daily Psalms for Hope. Today we're going to be looking at Psalm 55. It's a long one, so we're going to launch right into this. It's a psalm written by David, so get out your Bibles, and let's look at what David has to say today. Psalm 55. Give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not yourself from my plea for mercy. Attend to me and answer me. I am restless in my complaint, and I moan, because of the noise of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked. For they drop trouble upon me, and in anger they bear a grudge against me. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fear and trembling come upon me, and horror overwhelms me. And I say, oh, that I had wings like a dove, I would fly away and be at rest. Yes, I would wander far away. I would lodge in the wilderness. I would hurry to find a shelter from a raging wind and tempest. Destroy, O Lord, divide their tongues, for I see violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go around it on its walls, and iniquity and trouble are within it. Ruin is in its midst. Oppression and fraud do not depart from its marketplace. For it is not an enemy who taunts me, then I could bear it. It is not an adversary who deals insolently with me, then I could hide from him. But it is you, a man, my equal, my companion, my familiar friend. We used to take sweet counsel together. Within God's house we walked in the throng. Let death steal over them. Let them go down to Sheol alive. For evil is in their dwelling place and in their heart. But I call to God, and the Lord will save me. Evening and morning and at noon, I utter my complaint and moan, and he hears my voice. He redeems my soul in safety from the battle that I wage. For many are arrayed against me. God will give ear and humble them. He who is enthroned from of old, because they do not change and do not fear God. My companion stretched out his hand against his friends. He violated his covenant. His speech was smooth as butter, yet war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Cast your burden on the Lord, for he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. But you, O God, will cast them down into the pit of destruction. Men of blood and treachery shall not live out half their days. But I will trust in you. Well, certainly David had some troubles that he was facing, for sure, and it seemed to have come from somebody whom was close to him, somebody who betrayed him, that was a good friend of his. And so, sometimes that happens, unfortunately, in our lives, where the people around us are, create a difficulty or some occurrence that helps, that sort of deters our trust in that person. But I like what David was saying here. Sometimes when we get into troubled situations in our lives, we want to do what he was saying in verse 6, and I say, oh, that I had wings like a dove, I would fly away and be at rest. Yes, I would wander far away. Sometimes that's the easier route, right? To sprout wings and just get out and leave the situation at hand. I mean, I know certainly sometimes I wish that were the case, where we could, just have a situation where we find trouble and we can just flee from it and have it be gone. But that's not often the case, is it? Sometimes we have to endure it. Sometimes we have to get through it. But David found his refuge in who his God was. I really like verse 22, cast your burden on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. And that's a powerful word for us today. If you're caught in something that you wish you could fly away and get away from, do what David did, and that is instead of lamenting on the situation at hand, find refuge in what God is capable of doing. Because if we cast our burden on Him, He is going to sustain us. He is going to see us through whatever it is that we're going through. And particularly in a time and age like this, where lots of burdens, lots of troubles may come upon us because of all that's going on, casting our burden on the Lord and trusting in the fact that He will sustain us is where our hearts are going to find the rest that they need, the peace that they need. At the very end, he says, "But I will trust in you." So that's a great word for us today. I will trust in you, no matter what is going on in my life, no matter how difficult it may seem, even though I want to fly away and get out of here and leave it all behind. I can cast my burden upon the Lord, and He will sustain me. He will never permit the righteous to be moved, and I can trust fully in that. And so I pray that finds a word for your heart today, that you can cast your burdens on the Lord and trust that He is going to get you through it, provide the needs that you need, provide the means that you need to get through it, and the strength and the perseverance. Well, may God's blessings be upon you this day, and be a blessing whenever you can.